We're continuing on with the meeting notes and action item tracker today, and we're going to build out the create meeting screen. There were several possible ways to do this. I could try to integrate with Outlook, Gmail, and Apple Mail, but that seemed like a bit of a pain. I could also create it as a client, like an email client, but that seemed a bit off as well. Instead, after you create the meeting, you can download the invite ICS file and use your email client to send the invite to the recipients. And Meeklius will remain a lean product that you really only use to set up the meeting and then record the notes and action items in, which is really what I wanted. Later, I might adjust this, but for now, it's the way I'm moving forward. So I've got a couple of prompts ready to go. I want to create a meeting controller, and I want to add action methods for create, the get, and the post. A meeting will obviously have many possible attendees. Each one will require a valid email address. We'll then take those valid email addresses and determine if they're already an app user, if they're already a contact attached to the organization. And if not, then we will add them as a new contact. I do like the fact that Cursor creates view models for the views, even if it really might not need it. In this case, it's definitely needed. There's too many things going on in the UI, but it follows a best practice that you kind of separate your model objects from your controllers. And it looks like we have an error in the meetings controller. Just need to add a reference to application DB context. So the third prompt that I had ready was for details. And since it needs it here for the redirect, then we'll just go ahead and add it now. This prompt basically says that we need a meetings detail page and that it will display the relevant information for the meeting. Later on, we'll add notes and action items. I want to include the attendee list, the invitee list, the agenda, which is really just the description, the topic, which is the subject, the assigned note taker, and also any notes that have been created with action items attached to the notes and any action items associated to the meeting itself. The details page should have a button for editing the meeting details and a delete button to cancel the meeting. Although I'm not really sure how that works with an ICS file, but we'll get there. If the date time of the meeting hasn't already passed, so basically if the meeting has already, the scheduled time for the meeting has already passed, then you can't edit the details any longer. You'll still be able to add action items and notes, but you won't be able to adjust the meeting attendees or the meeting details, description, title. Even though this is super fast code creation, sometimes I still get impatient and it seems to take forever. It's just crazy. And now that the details action has been created, the reference error goes away. The next prompt is that after the meeting has been published, give a download link to download the meeting invite. The server will create the ICS file for the invite with all the information included in the invite, and the user can download it to send using their preferred email provider. And I want it to be compatible with Gmail, Outlook, and Apple Mail. And the download body, the ICS body, needs to include the invitee list, the meeting agenda, the topic, assigned note taker, and a link to the meeting details for the meeting. And that will pull the app URL from the app settings.
And here's your friendly reminder to like and subscribe. We post new videos often for software developers, software engineers, and software architects. Thanks.
I didn't think about it, but it also included a 15-minute reminder. That's a nice touch. Need to add a reference to meeting. Let's see what the build gives us. Couple of errors. Let's ask Cursor. That add to composer feature is really convenient. And this one's a possible null reference exception. That one should be easy to fix with Cursor. I think I might have gotten ahead of Cursor there for a minute. I'll let it finish what it wants to do. Okay, and yet another error. Too many characters in character literal. Let's see what Cursor will do with this one. It feels like Cursor may still be out of sync a little bit. It's telling me how to fix it, but not applying the fixes. I missed the apply section up here. I'm going to save all to be certain and then clear the console. All right, let's go back to .NET Build. All right, we finally get a good build. Excellent. And let's see what we get. I'll head over to Meetings/Create. The UI is a little rough, but it'll serve the purpose for now, I think. Another test meeting. Just the description for another test meeting. I'll just pick a random start time. Duration 30 minutes. Location, left corner office. Location's a freeform text box. Test user will be the note taker. Attendees test2@test.com. And I don't like this. I don't like the way attendees are added to the meeting. We'll adjust that in a moment. So test2@test.com, and since I'm feeling so inventive today, test3@test.com. Test4@test.com. I'll set that one as optional. And create. Okay, pretty cool. So the added meeting and cancel meeting screens haven't been developed yet, but let's download the invite and see if it's valid. If you go to iCalendar.org/validator.html, they have a really good tool for validating an ICS file. And then we can just upload ours and then validate. Okay, we're getting a couple of warnings. No errors, thankfully, but warnings probably should be taken care of. I'll just copy those and then back in Cursor, ask it to fix them. Hopefully by this point you've realized this is more about prompt engineering than software engineering. If you do have the experience, it'll definitely be a multiplier. If not, it's easier than ever to catch up. And I'll shut down the server and relaunch. Probably need to add a link on the homepage for this, but I'll go over to Meetings/Create. YAMTG for the title. YAMTG description, yay for the description. I'll pick another random start time. "15 minutes for the duration. This time it'll be in the right corner office. Test user as the note taker and no recurrence. I'll enter the same invitees as last time. Test2@test.com, Test3@test.com, Test4@test.com. And I'll mark Test4 as optional. Then click the Create Meeting button, and I'll download the invite, and then head back to the validator. Choose the invite and click the Validate button. Success, no errors found. Excellent. All right, so my next prompt is on the Create Meeting page, change the way the page looks. I want the title and description to stay as they currently are. I want them to take up the entire screen width-wise. I want the description field to be a little bit taller. Everything below the description, though, should be split into two different columns. I want the left-hand column to have the start time, duration, location, note taker, and recurrence type. And I want the right-hand column to house the attendees. And I want to change the way attendees are added and removed. At the top of the right-hand column, show a list of the attendees. Use one line per attendee. To the left of each attendee, have a red X icon, which can be used to remove the attendee. Below the list of attendees, have the current email and required or optional field. When the Add Attendee button is clicked, try to look up the app user or contact asynchronously. I don't want the page to refresh. I just want it to check with the server to see if the email is in the system and whether or not it's attached to an app user or a contact. If the email matches an app user, use a contact icon. If it's a contact in the system, I want to use an email icon. And if the email doesn't match either an app user or contact, use a plus sign after the email. I'm sure you've noticed that I rarely look at the code that's created, mostly because this is just a test. I'd never seen code like this to production without a thorough review. Not that there's anything wrong with it, we just haven't verified it. I'm working on a code review video already, and I'll look at ways to prevent most of these issues from happening by writing better prompts and making better use of the cursor rules file. Click the Accept All button, and let's deal with the errors. Need to add a reference to Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.Identity and a reference to Nucleus.Models. There's still another one on the create.cshtml file. This one's weird. I think this is going to be a Razor parser error because of the single quotes. This always happens if you try to put scripts in a CSHTML file. But let's see if Cursor can fix it. Hopefully this will be able to fix it. Click the Accept button, but it's just not dealing with it, I don't think. I'm going to take the entire area that's causing the problem and go back to Composer and see if we can get better results here. In the create.cshtml file, lines 144 to 146, and then paste in the code. This is giving two distinct errors, and then I'll have to hover and grab each one of the errors. There's that one and that one. So it looks like it's going to reorg the code a little bit. And that just didn't fix it. The error is still there. That did not fix it, and the exact same errors exist. I think at this point, it's going to move the JavaScript. Yeah, it's going to move the JavaScript code into its own file. That will get away from the Razor parsing errors. It's probably a route I would have taken, but it would have taken me longer to get there. All right, so it's splitting it out. Accept all. Now it's just an include for a script file. Cool. And that did get rid of the error. Nice. All right, so let's save all. And then .NET build. I think we'll get a good build this time. And we did. Okay, .NET watch run. Back in our browser. Again, probably need a link for this so I don't have to keep going to it. All right, so this looks pretty good. Let's see what happens. there's that weird empty attendee at the top. So I'll definitely admit adding new attendees is much easier. It's much smoother. It looks like it's getting the icons correct. No complaints other than that empty attendee at the top. Removing works well. I can remove that empty one. All right, let's see if Cursor can fix that empty attendee. The meeting starts with an empty attendee. Why is this happening? Oh, so it's actually creating the empty attendee on its own. Accept all, and go back, and it's gone. So you notice the test at test.com, since it's actually the person creating the meeting invite, but it is an existing app user, and it has the contact icon. Test one at test.com doesn't, so it's actually not in the system, so it's a new contact. And test 2 and test 3 are existing contacts. So is test 4. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Test 5 at test.com. That's also a new attendee. It's going pretty well. I've been trying to reach you about your car's warranty. Come on, it's the bestest meeting ever. I'll grab a random date here. Duration, I don't like that. I think this might need to be switched up for common meeting times, but we'll change it to 30. Left corner office, test user, no recurrence, create meeting. Okay, that all looks very good. And let's download the invite and make sure nothing was screwed up there. Go back to the validator. Choose our file. And then click validate. Success, no errors found. That's great. In the next meeting, we're going to look at editing meetings. I'm not really sure, again, how that'll work with the ICS file, how it gets updated, but we'll cope with that later on. I want to be able to edit meetings, and I want to be able to add notes, and we might take on action items too, depending on the length. Till next time, happy coding.